This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, everyone. Myself Harsha. So I'll be covering the training part for time off for the first 8 to 9 sessions of this training. So can we have a quick round of introduction from yourself as well? Let us start with Akash.
Hi, Arsha. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah. So, good morning, everyone. This is Akash, and I'm currently working with PwC, and I have around 4 years of experience. So, in which I've worked first 3 years in SAP HCM, and from last 1 year, I'm working on SuccessFactors.
Any
So, this
specific
is
module?
my first session. Yeah, I'm certified in EC. So currently, I'm supporting Employee Central.
Okay.
And yeah, that's all
Yeah.
about me.
Thank you. Um, Kashinath.
Yeah, hi Arsha, hi everyone. So I'm currently working in Elite. So I'm EC certified. So I have 3 years of experience in SuccessFactors employee EC.
Okay,
Thank you.
that's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Then Prithvish.
Yeah, hi. I have around 14 years of experience in SAP HCM, EC role, and EC and PMGM.
Okay, thank you. Then Madhumita.
Yeah, hi Harsha, hi everyone. So I used to be a SAP like HCM consultant before, and now a SuccessFactors consultant, working on currently on PMGM and other talent modules like SPCDP. And I actually got my all the trainings from Windhorn only, like PMGM, SPCDP, everything. EC also I got trained from Windhorn. Yeah. So now looking forward to train in times also now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let me just pull up a sheet. Okay, so these are the major topics that we are going to cover in the next 8 to 9 sessions. How to enable the time off functionality, the RBP setup that we have for time off, then the different screens that we have already seen in demo of this session. But still, I'll try to cover it quickly. Then configuring the holiday calendars, configuring work schedules, configuring time types, time account types, um, the specific configuration that we do in the time account type, like validation periods, booking periods, processing of the balance accruals and all, period and processing. For all of these scenarios, we'll try to cover a couple of scenarios and see how the system behavior works. Then the time of calendars, terminate what happens at the time of termination to the time of functionality. If you have any validation rules that needs to be put in, then that comes under the take rules part. We'll try to cover a couple of scenarios of take rules as well. Interim rules is one of the part where we try to create a business rule with which you can update the information of a time account or the balance of employees in the middle of the year. Then collision grouping, employee time object, how we do the imports at the time of go live, then how do we do the requirement gatherings and do the workshops. Basically, I mean, what are the steps that we follow when we do the implementation project, and how to fill those requirement gathering templates, right? So these are the topics that we will be covering. I mean, it's not like topics of some topics of time off, but it's the complete functionality of time off what we do. So these will be the topics that we will be covering in the next couple of days, right? So okay, for you, what is your understanding on time off? What I mean, what is your opinion on time off? Why is it needed in any HR system?
Time off, it's for like time absences, right? So when an employee is going for a leave or a vacation or any like sick leave, so he needs to he required to create an absence in the system.
Right.
So for
So
that,
I
it
think it's absence as well as even attendance also to capture the attendance. So basically, yeah, and also like to calculate your maybe it is linked with payroll, right? So accordingly, your this payroll is calculated. So that is why it is needed.
In a way, yes. Yeah. So both are correct. So one more thing that I want to highlight here. So when we say time off, it talks about the absences of the employee. When we say time management in success factors, it defines both the time off and time sheet. So time off is basically only the absences. Time sheet is the combination of your time off and time sheet. I mean, the attendance, right? For your time sheet will have your absences as well and the time recordings or the attendance records. Time management will include both time off and time sheet and the time tracking, the new feature that we have in time management module now. So like your people said, time off is basically which gives you an option to plan the leaves of employees. So if we think in the perspective of an employee, it is just a booking a leave, right? But from the company's point of view, leaves management is not only the application from the employees, it is also getting it approved, getting it processed, and closing it, right? So for them, it is a hassle to maintain or manage all of these things in a bulk. So that is the reason why when we talk about time off, it gives the employees an option to apply a leave. Not only apply the leave, by using this particular configurations that we do, we can put restrictions on employees request to make them in line with the policy, right? So that's the major thing that any company would look at. Because if let's say we have a paternity leave, the employees are eligible for only 5 days of paternity leave. Let's say if employer tries to apply a 10 days leave, then system shouldn't allow him, right? So these kind of things system can handle it on its own when we put restrictions on it, right? So these kind of things we can manage from time off. Not only when the let's say employee is in line with the policy and is applying a leave, but that should be monitored by someone and should get approved by someone, right? Usually it will be the manager or the HR admin. So that hassle will also not be there, because system will anyways, when employee applies a leave, system will trigger a workflow in which the appropriate approval will be approving the request so that the employee can utilize it as an approved leave. The third part, once these leaves are approved, then this gets processed from the payroll. Let's say if we have the concept called advances, then it can be processed by the payroll only. Let's say at the end of the year, employees will get a encashment of the balance that they have. So that can also be handled by the payroll itself. We just give the data which is needed for payroll so that it gets processed automatically. So these are the things that the company will be looking at, which even SAP SuccessFactors time management module will provide to the clients, right? So these are the importance of why time off functionality plays a major role in the success factors. So let me just quickly pull up one more sheet which gives you an overview of how this time off functionality works in success factors. Right. So basically we will for any functionality to get enabled, we sort of maintain some information on the employee profile, right? So we have different sections on employee profile. One of the section is the job information, where we usually put a section of time information. There we maintain the data of holiday calendar. So like I was talking about the job information section, where we maintain the time of information. We will have the holiday calendar assigned there. We will have work schedule assigned there. We will have time profile assigned there. So holiday calendar will defines the number of public holidays for that employee in that current year, right? So based on the configuration that we do and put based on the number of public holidays that the company is having, we put up all of those holidays into that holiday calendar, so that for an employee, whichever the holidays are assigned in this holiday calendar will by default become a holiday in employee's calendar, and no need of applying any leave for those particular days, because by defining holiday itself becomes a non-working day for that employee, right? Then the work schedule will define the work pattern for an employee. Let's say whether the employee will be working for 5 days or 6 days or 7 days in the week, whether the employee will be working for 8 hours in a day or 9 hours in a day. Let's say if it is duration, then 8 hours, 9 hours. If it is clock times based, then we define it as, let's say, whether employee will be working in shift A or shift B or shift C, like that. So that work pattern, that how an employee should work in the organization, the work pattern basically will be defined from the work schedule configuration. Then the third one is the time profile, which will have the set of configurations which are needed for a leave application, right? So this will have the time profile will have a combination of time types. Time types are nothing but your leave types and the attendance types. So time type is not only the absence type, time types can be your attendance types as well. So time type is basically your, for now let's assume this is only the leave types. So time types is the leave types. The time types will be of three types. One, a basic time type which will not have any balance assigned to that particular leave. Second, a time type which will be leave of absence. Leave of absence is basically a long leaves where let's say we put employee in a different status for a while, right? Let's say employee is going on a sabbatical leave or something. So in such cases, we usually put employee status to something else, so that the usual benefits that the employee gets shouldn't be processed in the system, right? So for such cases, we use a time type called leave of absence, where system will be posting a couple of records on the job information section of the employee, saying this employee will be on a unpaid leave or a paid leave for so and so dates, and nothing will be processed based on the status that we select for that particular record of job information. The
Sorry.
third,
Hi, Arsha. Sorry to interrupt. Hope
yeah,
this session is getting recorded, right?
yes.
I don't see the recording pop up.
On
Just want
the
to.
so have we logged in from the web or application?
Web.
So on top left hand corner, do you see that recording in progress?
Uh, no, I don't see that one. Earlier, when I joined the session, I could see, but now I not able to see. I think Winhorn consultant has left the session, right? From the session.
Mm-hmm.
So who is recording the session?
Myself, I'm the admin now.
Okay, fine. So is it recording, right? Then,
Yes, it is recording.
Okay, then okay. Please go ahead. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so the third leave type that we were talking about is the one which will have a dedicated quota into it, right? So those are the types which are time account types. So if we have a leave type which will have a quota, we define them as a leave type which is been assigned with a time account type or configuration. So when we have this time account type configuration, so we usually have another set of configurations into it, which are basically the accrual rules and the period processing rules. So as of now, just take it as a just flow only, because these are two technical names at this point of time. But once we get into these configuration parts and everything, you'll get used to with this tech terminology. So this time account type, which is in a way the leave quota, will have additional configurations like the accrual rules and payment processing rules. Basically, these rules defines how much of the balance that the employee should get in an year, and what should happen at the end of the year. Should it get carried over into the new account next year, or should it get lapsed, or should it get encashed? So those sort of things will be defined from these accrual rules and the period processing rules. So whenever we have time account type configuration, so we will be, the employee will be created with a time account where the balance will be stored, and even the leave request from the employee for this particular leave time type will get posted into the time account and does the deduction of the balance from the time account. So we'll have the positive postings when employee applies a leave, that will become the negative posting into the time account. So that deducts the balance from the time account. Let's say if I've got 10 days of balance, if I'm applying a 2 days of leave, then the 2 days of leave request will come and sit in the time account as a negative posting -2. So that becomes 8 days of balance in my time account. So that's what I meant by negative posting. So whenever we have this time account type configuration assigned to a time type, we will have to run a couple of time of calendars in the initial stage, not at the usual stage. When we are going live with the project, or let's say we have already gone live with employee central, but you want to go live with time off later on. So in such cases, you will have to run the time off calendar, so the system generates the information of these time accounts for the employees. Right. So like I said, whenever employee applies a leave request, time off is nothing but a leave request. Then that will trigger a workflow. Once that gets approved, that will get posted into your time account. It's nothing but the one of the posting in the time account. So this is a negative posting, and this is a positive posting. So this gives the balance to the employee, and this leave request deducts the balance from this account. Okay, so this is a usual flow what we we will be seeing in in the next couple of days. What sort of information that we maintain on job information of the employee, which triggers or defines or creates the information for an employee, right? Yeah. So the next thing, like I was saying, the time offs, the leave types, basically three if you categorize them, there'll be three type of time types. One with one which is a plain time type, which will not have any dedicated quota based for that leave type. The other one which is having a quota, and the third one, the leave of absence, right? So when we talk about this leave of absence in the system, let me just quickly pull up the instance screen. Yeah, can you see my the screen of instance?
Yes,
Yes.
we can see.
Yeah. Hope you all are familiar with this screen, the landing page of SuccessFactors, and how we navigate for different screens, right?
Yeah. Latest homepage.
Yeah. So, and one more thing, whoever have done this employee central implementation must be aware of this page called employee central settings. Where you can manage different uh, extended functionalities of employee central, I would say, like your global assignments and all stuff, these things. So you might have seen these seen this page and did couple of enablement and disablement and all stuff. So the first section that we will have in this particular page is about the time and attendance management, right? So the first two flags that you see, right, these two related to the time of functionality, and the remaining are related to your timesheet and the time tracking, right? For time off, there will be two flags. There are two flags because the first one will give you an enablement of the complete functionality of time off. If you enable the second one, it will allow you to create only the leaves which are leave of absence. So like I was talking about, right, if employee wants to go on a sabbatical leave, then certain job records will get posted into the job information section of the employee, where it will define a status for that employee for that particular period of leave, right? So if you enable this flag also, then you'll be able to utilize or create only the leave types which are the long leaves, the leave of absence leaves. If you enable the first one only, this will by default enables everything of time off. This includes your leave of absence as well. If you want to go with the complete setup, then you'll have to enable the first flag. If you want to go with only the time, the leave of absence time types, so there'll be a very rare case where the clients would come up and say we would need only the leave of absence types. So in such cases, you will have to enable both the flags. Otherwise, the first flag which you see as of now would suffice and creates the or enables the complete functionality of time off in the instance. Right? Clear on this particular part? Why two flags and what does they mean?
Yes.
Okay. So that's how we enable the time of functionality in any instance. There are no additional provisioning settings needed for time off, at least for time off, not for timesheet. For time off, these are the settings that we would need so that the time of functionality gets enabled in the instance. Before enabling this, you will not see any sort of object or any RBP settings for time off. After enabling this only, you will see all the setups in your RBP, even in your configure object definitions or manage data or manage time off structures, everything. So whatever information that you see related to time off will get enabled or visible only once you enable this flag. Till then, that will be invisible or not accessible by any of the user in the system. Okay, now let's move into the RPP setup that we do. Now we'll look into the RBP setup or different sections that we have in an RBP, which plays a role in a different type of roles that we usually be having in any instance. So usually we will be having the employee self-service role, then the employee on others role, then manager self-service role, then the local HR admin and the HR admin and super admins, right? So these are the usual type of roles that we maintain in any instance. So I'll be taking you through the RBP setup now, which comes, I mean, I'll define which permission part comes into which permission role. I just hope you are familiar with the permission roles and permission groups so that I don't have to take you through what is permission role and permission group first. Is that okay? I'm directly getting into the permissions part of the setup.
Yeah, it's okay.
So when it comes to the RVP part, I mean, if you look at the permissions that we have in the SF, those permissions are basically categorized into two sections, right? One is user and the admin permissions. So if I get into the permissions, so like I was saying, these permissions will get categorized into two categories. One, the user permissions and the administrator permissions. So from user the ones that you see under user permissions is basically the ones for the employee self-service and manager self-service and the employee and others roles. So it basically gives the access to the employees to their own information and the front end information of other employees to what extent they can see, right? So the first category that we have under user permissions is the time management user permissions, where we will have a couple of permissions. By enabling this, employee will get certain access. Let's say if you take the first one, create recurring actions in employee self-service. So there is an option in the leaves management page where you can create a recurring absence. Recurring is basically, let's say you have a pattern of uh, plan. Let's say on every Monday you want to go for a half day leave, right? So that's a pattern. So if you have any such patterns, then you can usually create a recurring absence. I mean, by enabling this recurring option, you will be able to select that pattern in one go. You don't have to create multiple requests, so that because it's a half day request on every Monday, right? You cannot put it in a one request. You'll have to go for a pattern leave, which is a recurring sort of a thing. So when you click on that or check that mark of recurring, you will be asked to put that pattern of leave type. So we will see that in the front end once we get into that stage. But let me just quickly show that recurring thing because we haven't covered this in the demo as well. Mm, I'll just show you the admin view. I mean how that recurring thing works. So when we create an absence, so there will be a button called recurring absence, right? So let me select the leave. Yeah, so as of now it is only one day request, or let's say half day request for 11th of October, which is Monday. Let's say you want to have another two half day requests on the next upcoming Mondays. So in such case, you cannot put it in one request itself. If you don't choose this recurring absence, you'll have to create three different leave requests for 11th of October, then the 18th of October, then 25th of October. So instead of doing that, you can click on recurring absence. The recurs weekly ends on 25th, which is the third Monday that we are talking about. So from 11th October to 25th October, on a weekly basis, every Monday, it will pick up basically the start date of that week that we have selected. Half a day from every Monday, which will become 1.5 days of request. So that's how this recurring absence will help the employees. If they want to plan particular leave in a recurring manner, then they can do it. So if you enable this, then this will get enabled for the employee self-service. Otherwise, this will be only with the admins. For admins, it will be by default functionality, but for the employees, if they want it, or if the company wants to grant it, then we will have to enable this flag in employee self-service. Then create payout in self-service. Payout is nothing but the encashment of leave balance. So by default, this will be with the admins, the HR admins or the super admins, the encashment option. If you want to give that option to the employees, then you'll have to enable this permission of, let's say, 5 days of leave. So in such cases, if you have this leave purchase leave functionality enabled, then you can request for a purchase leave where you can buy leave plan of the team members. Let's say if you want to search for a particular employee, let's say you're into a team which is more than 30-40 employees. In such cases, it will be difficult for you to find the pattern, right? So in such cases, you can filter with by searching for an employee, so that you can clearly see the leave plan of that employee and plan yours accordingly. And access team absence calendar is basically the same thing that we are talking about. If you give this access, then employee will be able to access the team absence calendar. If you enable this, then the employee will get search option in the team absence calendar. So that's the first set of permissions that we have for time off. Clock in, clock out is basically for your time tracking. So this will be covered in the second part of the training. As of now, I'm skipping this particular section. Then the next section that we have, so as a usual, in whatever information that we maintained on job information, right, the work schedule, the job holiday calendar, and the time profile for that employee, if you want to give that access to employees to view, then you'll have to give the permission of the job information fields. So if I see holiday calendar, work pattern, and time profile, so these are the three things that we were talking about. So depending on the need, you can give either view access or view and edit, or view and edit, delete everything, depending on the case to case. I mean, it depends on the case to case. If you're giving it for employee self-service, then we usually go with view and view history only. If you're giving it for manager self-service, depending on the case, let's say if managers are allowed to make any changes on the job information, particularly to the time information as well, then you'll give the edit function, add functionality as well. Right, then employee views. So if you create a particular section for time off, right, request time off, this is the tile that we get. It's no more called as a tile, but we can say as a quick action. Then the time sheet is related to the timesheet. Then the next category that we will have is miscellaneous is no more. It's no more. Yeah, the next category that we have is time management object permissions. So initially it used to be under miscellaneous permissions because we never had this category. But now we have a separate category for time of objects, where the set of permissions that you would need for a different set of objects that we use as part of your time of implementation, right? So depending on the role to role, you will have to enable certain permissions which is needed for a particular role. So absence request will go for most of the roles except the employee and others. Clock in, clock out is related to your time tracking. Then let's say if you have any specific country specific information on the leave request page, employee time is the object which gives us the view of leave application, right? The leave application that we were looking at, this page. Yeah, the sort of information that you see here, right? All sort of information, whatever system is popping up or asking you to fill, is basically comes from your object called employee time. So not only the global object, but you will have the country specific objects as well, where we usually call them as localizations, right? So if you have any additional information that is needed for any country, then you'll have a different set of objects for each country. If you have such scenario in with your project, then you will have to enable those objects as well. So if you see, if we have Canada, Netherlands, USA, like that, then like I was saying, the time account purchase, where employee can buy additional balance. This is for the access of that particular thing. Then time type is basically your the leave type and the attendance types, access to those things. Yeah, that's all. So depending on the case to case, you will have to uh, give the authorization from this particular section for different objects, like we do for the usual MDF objects in Employee Central, right? It's the same way. So that's on the user permissions category. So everything that we have seen so far is purely related to the actions on employee self-service. It is nothing to do with the configuration part of the time off. So all your configuration path will come from your administrative permissions. The first category that we have is manage time off. So which will give you an access to different set of pages where you can do the configurations of time off. So the first one is access to the time accounts. Then the second permission, manage time off structure. So this is a page where we will be configuring the holiday calendars, holidays, work schedules, time profiles, time types, time account types, everything. Then the manage time off calendars is the page where we usually run the calendars to create the time accounts, to create the balances, to process the carryover and all. Then manage payout is the option where we manage the leave encashment. Purchase leave, like I said, where we manage the additional purchase from the employee. Then clock in clock out is related to your time tracking, which will be covered in the next part of this training. Then the next one is metadata framework. Yeah. So if you must be aware of this particular permission called access to non-secured objects, right? So in time of functionality, there will be a lot of objects which will be used indirectly also, which are not secured object in the backend. So if any, let's say when we create a leave request, right, that technically creates a lot of other information in the backend. For manager, when the manager gets that leave request, if the manager wants to see the deduction of the particular number of days in the calendar or the calendar of the employee, the calendar creation comes from a different object altogether, which is not a secured object. If you don't enable this permission, manager will be able to see only the leave request that the employee done, but not the other posting that is being created as a deduction pattern, right? So that, I mean, if you give access to this non-secured object permit, I mean, if you enable this permission of access to non-secured objects, you will not face any issues, technical issues, when in terms of visibility of data. it will not be the case for your employee self-service, but basically for HR administrators and the managers who usually does the approval of the request from the employee. So it is always recommended to have this permissions given, not only for time off, but in your employee central case also it is always recommended to have this permission enabled, right? Then the next section that we have is, which is the last section as well. No, this should be manage time, right? So this particular set of permissions that you see, the first one, access workbench. This will give you access to the this link you see, administer time, where we can manage the information of this employee's time, sort of backend, but I won't say completely backend. But this particular view will have more visibility towards this particular information, and certain actions can be performed by the person who is having this access. So to get this access, this permission needs to be enabled, access workbench. Without this permission will not be there. For this will be usually for your HR administrators or the super admins or the local administrators. So once that permission is given, then only they will be able to see the administer time link. Then maintain individual work schedule. So this is another category in the administer time page, where under work schedule you will have an option to create temporary change, right? So by giving this access to maintain individual work schedule and maintain temporary change, will allow the HR administrators to create a temporary change for one particular employee and assign. You can create a temporary change pattern for an individual as well. So you can create a temporary change and assign it to an employee, and it can be an individual pattern as well. So like that, for different sections, you'll have different permission categories here. Let's say the alerts will give access to your time alerts section of this administer time page. Then the time collectors will give access to this time collectors page, which is related to your complete time management. I won't say it is not related to the time off, but it is related to your time management, where depending on the timesheet validations and processing, some of the things will come and sit in your time collectors and time alerts. See timesheet and regulate absence because of some other change in the configuration. So then the time validation trace is basically for your timesheet. You will see that how this trace will work in your timesheet. Traces basically gives you the complete picture of how the system is processing your attendance. Then the time account process simulator. So this is one of the page where you can this is basically for super admins, not for any other user in the system. For super admins, whenever they do the configurations of time off, right, they try to test few things, right? So in such cases, the simulator helps the employee or the user to see whether the behavior of the system is correct or not. So by using this, the user basically can simulate the balance that the employee is supposed to get on a particular day. Then the next permission is the time management configuration set. So this is a page which is of a lot of use, but people doesn't use it usually. By using this page, you can actually search for any sort of configuration related to time off and the employees who is having that set of configuration assigned to them. So when you have an issue and if you want to trace it right, this page will be of so much of use. Time management configuration search. Then the next permission category is show time account balance in termination screen. So this permission is basically for a reason called encashment at the end of the service of the employee, right? So let's say if an employee is getting terminated, as part of your usual drill of termination, you usually do the process of leave encashment as well, right? So in such cases, if you want to do the leave encashment at the time of termination screen itself, by enabling this particular permission, you'll be able to see the balances of employee on termination screen, and you can do the encashment on termination screen as well. Then access to account payouts, this page, access to this page. Then periodic time account update is one of the functionality for one kind of time account type configuration, which is the basically the permanent accounts. And so for such cases, there'll be a particular pattern that we have to follow, so that can be accessed by this particular function, or sorry, the permission. Then access to purchase leave, again this section, purchase leave. So these are the set of permissions that that majorly plays a role in any of the role that we maintain for time of functionality. So it will be, at this particular point in time, I won't say this can be absorbed, but you will get to know, or you will get used to it the moment we get into the configurations part, and when we see the behavior of system, right, you will be able to relate to these permission categories, right? So that's on the RBP setup, which is related to your time of functionality. So I would say that's it for today. Tomorrow, so how many of you have joined the demo session we had last Saturday?
I have joined. This is Kashina.
I joined.
Okay. So Prithvish and Akash, any confirmation from your end as well? I just
Yeah,
wanted to check if you really want me to cover that part once again, or should we skip that part, because that is what we actually tried to showcase in the demo.
yeah, I joined in the second half for sure. Timesheet section.
Oh, okay.
Time of one
So
I didn't join.
okay, then in such case, we'll try to cover the different screen section first. From holiday calendar onwards, this is going to be the complete configuration part. So in each category, we'll be doing certain configurations in the system, and we'll see the behavior of that particular configuration on employee's profile. Right. So that's it for today, I would say. See you tomorrow and have a great day.
Thank you, Arsha. So the video will be shared, right?
Yeah.
Thanks, Harsha.
Thanks, Harsha.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
And Harsha, when are we getting this demo system access so we could practice also?
I'll talk to the team. You should be receiving in a couple of days, I would say, probably by tomorrow, day after tomorrow.
Okay.